I would like to call the January 21st, 2025 BPA Board of Public Affairs meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. John, would you please take roll call?
Will. Annette Schreiner.
Here.
Bob Eyre.
Yes.
Jim Salsbury.
Yes.
Dick Long.
Yes.
And Karen Ford.
Present.
All present.
Thank you, John. Next on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the January 7th, 2025 board meeting. Everyone has been presented with copies of the meeting minutes. Are there any changes to as the way they are written?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Bob.
Yes.
Karen.
Yep.
Annette.
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
And Dick.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is a hearing of public concerns. Anyone here need to come to the podium? Seeing none, move on. Next on the agenda is the Clerk-Treasurer's Report. May I, John?
Yeah, you know what, it's, I don't know what the 3-day weekend did to me. So you all have been given, I believe, the monthly cash report and the kind of things I provide to Sylvia every month. I did not bring along the bank statements and the normal packet that you sign off on. That's my apologies for that. I don't have it to pass out this evening.
Okay.
Didn't occur to me until you just said that. So I don't have that. I can't complete that report.
Okay, so do we strike to move it from the agenda then?
I would just leave it that
Just leave
the
it.
report will be forthcoming,
Okay.
and I'll have to get it around for your signature
Okay.
next meeting. Apologize for that.
Do we need a motion or anything to?
Probably not at this point.
Okay, all right. We will review the Clerk-Treasurer's Report on next meeting. Next is on the agenda is a resolution. John, would you please number and read?
Will, I have that. Sorry about that again. Resolution number 2, 2025, authorizing Carrie Schlade as delegate and Richard Long as alternate to represent the City of Bryan as a member of the Board of Directors of the Ohio Municipal Electric Association in 2025.
So based on your discussion at the January 7th meeting, this resolution reflects Mayor Carrie Schlade as a designee and Dick Long had expressed interest in the OMEA alternate. This is a formal designation that has to be approved by the board each year. So.
I would just like to say thank you to Dick for volunteering. Any other comments?
Make a motion to approve.
I second it.
Second. Bob.
Yes.
Annette.
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
Dick.
Yes.
And Karen.
Yes. Next on our agenda is the 2024 year in review with presentations from communications, water, and engineering departments. Derek?
Yeah, well, good evening. We have a few slides prepared tonight. We'll just give a brief financial overview of each department, and then our department heads will talk about the projects from 2024. We start in the communications utility, a financial overview, the 509, that's the O&M fund for the communications department. We began the year at $1.9 million. We had budgeted revenues of $804,000. We ended the year with revenues of $818,000. On the expense side, budgeted expenses were just over $1 million. And year-end expenses were $852,000. That's with a net margin just over $34,000. We did not budget for any transfers to the capital fund. So we had a year-ending fund balance of $1.8 million, or a decrease of $34,000. On the 535, on the capital fund, We started the year with just over 81,000. Again, we didn't transfer any funds to the capital, but we do show about $877 of revenue. That was from the sale of some fixed assets. On the expense side, we had budgeted that just over $25,000, and we ended the year just over $11,000 in expenses. So we ended 2024 with fund balance of $70,853, or a decrease of about 11%. When you look at the 509 and the 509, we started the year at 1.99 million, and we ended the year at 1.95 million, or a decrease of about $45,000. Talk about the sales by service. As you can see, 80% of our sales came from the internet service at about $541,000. 20% of that was fiber sales, about $131,000. And we do continue to see just a little bit of cable revenue trickle throughout the year. Looking at total sales revenue, just a little snapshot here back to 2021. That gradual decline. Keep in mind in May of 2022, cable TV was discontinued, and then in December of 2024, the internet service was discontinued. So we ended the year with total sales revenue of about $674,000. Just a quick summary and financial plan for 2025. We continue to offer a reliable fiber service and provide great customer service to those customers. With the 509 kind of transitioning into the 501, it'll be important to closely monitor our finances, revenues versus expenses. In 2025, we also have the final lease payment from the 509 fund to the 501 fund that will have to be made. And then as we look towards 2026, we dissolve in the 509 fund. If there are any questions, I'll turn it over to Joe, and Joe can talk about the project.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hope you stay warm. This last year was a different year for us. As you know, that we started the process in August to shut down the internet system. Doing that encompassed a lot of the time we spent on projects last year. We did operate that system most of the year, as you know, until December the 9th. And we completed the planning of ending that. This was a large project. The plan to actually shut the system down. It wasn't just as simple. We set a date and we do it. We did a lot of communications with our customers, mail, social media, website, etc. And we ended that service on December 9th, and we're very thankful we didn't receive a single call the next day that people didn't know that they was not going to have service. So everything went according to plan. And so because of that, we completed a lot of fiber projects last year. The inner ring fiber construction and the power plant and water treatment is all combined into that big inner ring fiber. The new power plant and that water treatment served off of that ring. We just finished terminating that ring literally just a week or two ago. And so now we have communications around the entire city that we'll be able to cross-connect that substation and that water treatment to give all kinds of redundancy for the SCADA and for all the communications there, which, as we all know, is fairly important. Because of the internet, there was a lot of city of Bryan departments that had cable modems. That's how they got their service. And so when we started the process in the summer, I discussed it with Derek, and I got with the other department heads in the city. I worked heavily with Ben and Bruce in the parks, with Tyson in the streets, and with all those folks, and we were able to, our crew and working with those guys, we were able to get all of those locations switched over to fiber before December 9th. And that included the preschool out here at the east end of town. And I personally got involved with it because we had to design a lot of network equipment and so forth out there, but everything came through real well. And working with wastewater as well. Wastewater needed some communications over in their maintenance building. They had a motor there, and we took care of all that. And so we're thankful for that. The BMU network, we did a lot of software upgrades last year. As you know, that this utility operates on multiple sets of network software that operates everything, including our phone system, the internet, all of our servers, where all of our data is stored. And we have to upgrade that software each year. So we did that. Wireless equipment, engineering and design. We did a new design for wireless equipment for the fire and police building. We're going to be installing that before long, a new system there, because the old wireless equipment's aged out. We have wireless equipment set aside. We're going to begin installing it here at the utility campus. All these access points will be changed out. And also, there was a few locations on the city side for the parks and the streets and all that, and out here at the pool, that they needed Wi-Fi for different applications, and we worked with them, and they purchased that equipment, and then we installed that for them. The network design implementation of the fiber change, I've pretty much already explained that. That's what we had to do there. And then the decommission of the cable modem servers, there's a server and software that we pay for each year. We will obviously save those funds now, not have to spend it. And we decommissioned that, and we did not do that until the end of the year. Just as a matter of fact, just after the New Year's holiday, I wanted to make sure of everything on that. So future plans, we need to complete our circuit's determination for the new fiber and this year, and that is the inner ring fiber that we discussed earlier. Power plant substation, as soon as the weather breaks a little bit, we intend to get on those. Now, I will say the power plant substation, the new sub, is on our fiber currently. It's just on that ring coming from the redundant side of the ring. It is online, and the SCADA is online. And about a couple weeks ago, we got the Cherry Street substation turned up on the protective relay to come out of that new power plant sub. So all of the substations that connect to that power plant on the SCADA protective relay are currently active and everything. What water treatment is going to do for us is it's going to give brand new connections to them. It'll give them redundancy that they've never had. And it will, and once that's done, they will not be connected to the old power plant control building anymore. That old fiber will be removed and taken down, which I know that Dick and Jim know very well what that span is going across there. So this year we're going to remove the satellite earth stations at the head end. I intentionally did not try to do any of that last year, because we had to do all this fiber get those modems off for the parks and the streets, and secondly, because I wanted to wait until we were done with the internet, because I have to go to the FCC, and I have to actually decommission the licenses for those earth stations and go through that process. And then in the decommissioning of the HFC system equipment, as most of you know, we have multiple nodes, optical nodes out in the system. And those cabinets are deteriorating, and they're old and outdated. We're going to come up with a plan to take those up and put cabinets in their place then decommission and shut down all the power that feeds those nodes. And we're going to do a network upgrade in several locations this year. We have, for the BMU side, we have the Bryan Street hub and the power plant. The network equipment, the Cisco equipment that's been in there for years is end of life, end of support. We've got capital dollars budgeted to install new equipment there and give a lot more reliability. And also the police and fire, that building will be getting new network equipment as well. That equipment was installed in 2012 when they built that building, and it's never been replaced. And it's end of life, end of support. What we're trying to do is change all of the platform for this type of equipment for the entire city, including us, to the same platform. Everything just operates and meshes together a lot better when you do that. So that's a big project we're going to work on this year. Any questions?
The earth stations, are those of any value, or are they just?
Not scrap.
Okay,
No, we scrap that.
just wondering. Okay, thank you.
We'll take the post that's out there. We'll take an excavator back home. We'll uproot those and probably take them out to Overman's or somewhere that can recycle all that.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Joe.
thanks,
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, we'll move on to the water department. And we'll start with the finance overview. The 502 O&M fund, we started the year with a fund balance of $2.4 million. Our budgeted revenues were $2.8 million, and we ended the year at just a little over $3 million in revenues. On the expenses, we budgeted $2.5 million, and we ended the year at $2.1 million in expenses. Gave us a net margin of about $865,000. Debt service and principal payments only, we paid about $144,000. We did transfer $150,000 to the capital fund. Late summer, early fall, we did that. And then we ended the year with a fund balance of just over $3 million, or an increase of about $570,000. On the 525 water capital fund, we started the year at $1.6 million. There's the $150,000 transfer we made. The additional $7,200 is from the sales of fixed assets. On the expenses, we had budgeted $918,000, and we ended the year just over a little over $1 million on expenses. The big driver for that was the emergency filter rehab that we had to do. That wasn't included in the budget. So we ended the year with a capital fund balance of $723,000, or a decrease of about $876,000. So combined funds, we started the year at $4 million. We ended the year at $3.7 million, or a decrease of about $306,000. Keep in mind too, we had anticipated by the end of the year that we would receive the grants from the Well 7 generator project, and also the South Lynn Street waterline project, that $190,000. We didn't quite get that in by the end of the year. We're working on that paperwork now, so if you took that into consideration, we would actually be a positive $283,000 that year. So we're working on that right now. The debt service that I just talked about, Town Line Road water main replacement, principal and interest payment was just about $41,000. Those payments do extend to 2029, and then $135,000 for the AMI project, and those payments extend to 2033. So 2024, our total annual principal and interest payments were $175,930. Just take a look at total cash comparison here for the past 3 years. Kind of hard to see, but this year is the red line. right about that 3.75 million in total cash. Monthly treated water production, just a 3-year look at that trend. Down a little bit from last year and down a little bit from 2022. We'll talk a little bit more about this later. Sales by class. As you can see, the residential class makes up for about 39% of our sales. That's about 134 million gallons a year, and that's about 3,280 accounts. 32% of our sales come from the industrial class, with about 110 million gallons, and that has 44 accounts. And then the commercial makes up 21%, or about 72 million gallons. And then lastly, the free service accounts, that was about 30 million gallons for 2024. This is just looking at gallons by class. Year over year, for the most part, they're pretty consistent. The industrial class, as you can see, from 2020 to 2024, we kind of had some ups and some downs there. We had overall for the year 345 million gallons. Just looking at the total gallons for the past couple of years, we're down 4.6%. From 2023. It seems like a lot, but it's about 15 million gallons difference from 2023, 16 million gallons. Our plant on average is about 1.3 million gallons a day. So if you think of it over the course of 365 days or a year, it's about 12 or 13 days difference. So. And then a summary and financial plan. So our last rate increase went into effect December 20th, 2021. So just a little over 3 years ago. In October of 22, we did work with John Courtney and we did a revenue requirement analysis. At that time, we didn't take any action. And during the year for 2025, we will take a look at evaluating our rates and the cost of service study. Part of that right now is making sure our 5-year capital plan is up to date, which I know we're working on. So that's a big piece of it, to make sure that we're generating the revenues and the funds, so we can perform our O&M, we can pay our debt service, and we continue to invest in capital. And then, like every year, take advantage of any grant opportunities that we can. If there's not any questions, I'll turn it over to Jimmy and he can talk about the project.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Jimmy.
First, start off with our water treatment plant operations, move into our distribution system, and kind of recap our 2025 projects coming up this year. At our water treatment plant, we have 3 certified state lab analysts in our lab. They're there 365 days a year, and in 2024, they analyzed 493 bacteria samples. Those samples come from within our system and outside customers as well. Annually, we always have an annual monitoring report that's handed down from the Ohio EPA. This may vary year to year, and in 2024, we monitored for disinfection byproducts, lead and copper sampling, nitrates, and SOCs within our system. And with all the monitoring requirements that we had to conduct in 2024, we met all of Ohio EPA requirements, which awarded us a green license to operate, meaning that our water system is maintained and kept up with no deviations. Moving on to our overall pumpage report. In 2024, we pumped just over 460 million gallons of water. You can see in May, that was our highest production month. This is mainly due to customers using more water, especially with irrigation systems in the summertime and the demand for water. And then November was our lowest production month.
And with history, that's about how it goes. May and June is our high production, and November and December are typically our lows. Some of the bigger projects at the water treatment plant, on the top picture that you see here, you'll see 3 gray high service pumps. The responsibility of those is to pump out our treated water at our treatment plant and pump it into our water system and get it out to our customers. This past year, we pulled high service pump 3. We inspected that, took a look at the motor, rebuilt the motor. We got a new bowl assembly underneath, which actually pumps the water up from our clear well and out through our filters and into our system. All 3 of those pumps, they're rated at 200 horsepower apiece. And high service pump 3 now pumps an average of 2,400 gallons per minute. Another big project that we took on was well 7 and well 2. What we did with these wells both had vertical turbine motors. It's a Miller design motor for pumping water out of the well. We went with a Franklin submersible pumps like we have in the past, just due to the efficiency of these and the parts available for these if we would have an issue. The turnaround time on these wells are a lot quicker than our traditional ways that we did have them in the past. This picture here that you see is part of our asset management program. You'll see the locations of the backup generators set within the city. We have now captured all of our generators that we want to put in place. These generators took the place of the old backup motors that we used to have in our well houses. We now have 4 backup generations to produce backup power for all of our wells. We can have a consistent run time on our well generators of 24 hours minimum, depending on the load. That will vary. Moving to our distribution projects, one of the bigger projects was our South 1st Street project. Salamine Trucking and Excavating came in town around the 8th end of April, and we were here till the end of June. They installed a little over 2,600 foot of 12-inch PVC water line and installed 80 new services and fire hydrants. This project took the place of a 4-inch cast iron water main that served those residents since 1907. So it was much needed. The next project was the one at 200 block of Blakesley Avenue, well, our crews conducted. Just a little over 1,200 foot of 8-inch PVC, 13 new services, and 2 fire hydrants on that project. When it comes to distribution system services and upgrades, our guys always stay busy with these. Last year we had 134 maintenance calls. These maintenance calls can consist of water main repairs, water service repairs that we may have a leak on, meter change outs, and any customer concerns that they may have. We installed new 6 water services within the city last year. We conducted our valve exercising program, and we continued our AMI water meter installation. With these efforts, we just increased our firefighting capabilities and our water service reliability for our customers. Some of the other projects that took place was our annual tower inspections. This was conducted by the Suez Company. It was a maintenance agreement that we agreed with a few years back. They came into town, took a look at both water towers, inspected those internally and externally, and everything turned out well with our water towers, both safety and operation standpoint. We upgraded our security lighting around our water treatment plant facility. We replaced the data lighting with new LED fixtures and new lighting. And like as Derek mentioned, later in the year, we had our pressure filter rehabilitations. We found out that our iron levels were rising a little bit, which is a clear indication that you have an issue with your filtration. And unfortunately, there were cells that we had to do emergency repairs on. We had to get that taken care of. Like Joe mentioned, we had our fiber upgrade at the water treatment plant. We also set in place a cybersecurity assessment and mitigation plan. This is something new from the Ohio EPA. Just kind of making sure what plan do you have set in place for your treatment plant facility when it comes to your SCADA system and kind of remote operations. So Joe's department, the IT department, helped me take care of that, and that was all complete, and they did a good job. Annually, we always update our asset management plan. When you take a look at our asset management plan, we have a little over 19,000 assets that we need to take place. Pretty much what this entails is the age of your assets within your department, the risk of failure, and on how long it takes to replace that asset. And then this year, for the first time, we had our lead service line inventory, which is something new that was implemented from the Ohio EPA. Their big goal and their big push is to have a lead-free system by 2037, right now. But I feel that will change here in the near future. Just a quick recap on our 2025 projects. We have well one rehabilitation and a new pump install. And the same thing goes for our high service pump one. We'll conduct a citywide leak detection survey, which will consist of about 75 miles of surveying our distribution system, checking for leaks acoustically with a correlator. This is something that we'd like to do every other year, because sometimes there's leaks in our system that we may not know of and may not surface up through the ground. So it helps with water loss numbers. A big project that we have is our header and control valve installation at the treatment plant, our aerator meter replacement, and our clear well inspection and cleaning. You'll see the main replacements here. There's 4 projects that you see there. With those 4 projects combined, we're going to be installing a little over 4,000 feet of new PVC water line within the system next year, and over 70 new services. We'll continue with our water treatment plant study. This is with the efforts of Jones and Henry engineers. It started to take place in the last quarter of 2024 and is continuing this year as well. And just like Derek said, we're looking forward to conduct our water rate study as well. Any questions?
Good question. You say you're monitoring the water 24/7?
Yes. There's certain tests that we do daily. Since we're a groundwater facility, there's tests that we do daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. That's a lot different than a surface water plant. Now, when you operate a surface water plant and you have operators there is some water quality tests that you have to run every 2 hours, every 4 hours. But since we're groundwater, we're very fortunate because our water's stable. It's not affected due to surface water where it's in an open reservoir.
Thank you.
Lead service line inventory?
Yes.
That you said was required by the EPA?
Yeah,
Did I understand you to say that you foresee that changing in the future?
I do. The reason being is because I received an email from the president of the American Water Works Association back in December. And what they did is they're filing a petition for review in the U.S. Courts of Appeals. They're not saying that the federal government had a bad idea on removing lead, because that's not the case.
Right.
It's just the implementation that the federal government had to get this done is wrong. The reason why is because the AWWA and their rules that we operate under is saying that public utilities like the city of Bryan, we only operate the public side of the water service line.
Right.
So that means from the water main to the meter pit, not the meter pit to the home. And the US government is saying, hey, you're in charge of it all now, when we never have been. So they're looking for that to review. Financially, they're taking a look at this too. Just because of the estimate that the Ohio EPA had, nationwide, they're looking at $100 billion for service line replacement.
See where they'd be pricey, yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Had a lot of meetings with Ohio EPA. They're looking for some changes to happen soon too, because we had a lot of time and efforts in sending letters out to our community. Our guys, they conducted numerous on-site surveys for our community, went to the homes, checked their service lines, and it's something that will always be there. The inventory is something that you'll always have to update and maintain. That's going to be a living document, but just the implementation of it moving forward, I think a few things might be relaxed on this.
Thank you.
Jimmy, where do we stand on as far as percentage-wise on the meter installs?
We are at 1,558 meters installed in our system right now.
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
I'll just go ahead and finish it up with the engineering department. A lot of these projects that they worked on this year, Jimmy just talked about, but Susie and Todd and Brock do a great job in there. They're always extremely busy, but the South Lynn Street water line project, the inspection of that project, the construction of that project, and then the as-bills afterwards. The same thing on Blakesley Avenue, part of the construction and the inspection, the as-bills. And then they spend a lot of time on the 2025 projects that Jimmy just mentioned on East Mulberry Street, West Bryan Street, East Beaman Street, and South Emmett Street, all of those water line designs. Also, a lot of time was spent at the power plant on the construction of the substation, the site work, the documents, all of those efforts. And then, of course, always the miscellaneous electric drawings, water drawings, and then a lot of time also spent on the GIS mapping system, making sure that's up to date. That map is utilized by all of our departments on a daily basis. So, just want to give big thanks to the engineering department, also the water department, communications department. We went through 2024 here pretty quick, but it does take a lot of hard work and a lot of dedicated people to accomplish all these things. So, any questions? Do you have any? No, that's all we got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Derek.
Next on the agenda is to affect the semi-monthly disbursements, so pay the bills. I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we pay the bills.
Second.
Jim?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
Karen, or Annette?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
And Karen?
Yes.
Next is comments from BPA and staff. Derek?
The only thing I would like to add is tomorrow morning between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. we ask for any voluntary energy reduction. We do think there's a high likelihood this will be the one CP or the peak for the year. So anybody that can voluntarily reduce their load, we'd appreciate it.
John?
Nothing to add.
Joe, do you have anything else to add? Mr. Betts? Brian?
Good, thanks.
Jimmy? Bill? Karen?
Just want to thank you guys for coming and giving us an update on 24 projects. And thanks for the updates on the peak alerts and when those run and getting that information out there to everyone. So that's it.
Dick?
Good.
Jim?
Thank the department heads for their presentation, the employees for all their hard work. That's it.
Bob?
I talked to my son who lives in Atlanta. He said, Dad, it's 22 degrees. And I said, well, you can move to Anchorage, Alaska. It's 30. He said, I don't think that's in our cards, Dad. So the weather has just been, and Derek attest to that too, the fact that we're just seeing some abnormal things with this Arctic vortex dipping down. It's causing havoc through their areas, and probably like Joe, down in the south of Louisiana, I was watching them throwing snowballs on Bourbon Street on the news today, and I thought to myself, I've never imagine. The weather we're experiencing is very generational, but for us here in Northwest Ohio, it's not that unusual. I was telling Annette earlier, in 2014 in January, I remember when it was 15 below zero, minus 45, and I just sat there and I could not sleep that night because I was on gas control at the time. And those type of temperatures is somewhat more typical for us here. But today's weather, tomorrow's weather, it's a little bit colder than normal, but it's not out of the realm for this time of year. So I just hope that, like I said before, people understand that we're doing our best, and kudos to Derek and with everything they're doing to keep those transmission costs from and capacity costs in line and checked by generating, and I think we'll save our customers last year $10 million, and that's why that's important that we keep on top of this. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you for the department heads for your presentations. Always very, summing up the year. It's hard to imagine that 2024 is in the books already. Yeah, let's keep in mind all the peak alerts that the utilities pushing out there and abide, if possible, to keep our costs down. That is all we have for tonight.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I just haven't think of something. Did we put out an appeal to industry to cut back, try and cut back tomorrow morning?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's okay. Thanks for bringing that up. If there's nothing else, we will adjourn the meeting. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
Jim?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Dick?
Yes.
And Karen?
Yes.
All right.